Canada has new regulations in place that limit how much crypto you can buy to $30,000 per year for most Canadians. And this is in the name of protecting regular people from high-risk investments. Meanwhile, there are no limits to how many lottery tickets you can buy, how much you can blow at the casino, or how big of a bet you can take on a racehorse. In this video, we're going over what the heck is going on with these regulations, who it applies to, and whether or not there are ways to legally get around these limits. Real quick before we get started, if you're new to crypto, I made a brand new bootcamp for you, the Crypto Basics Bootcamp, which is going to give you the simple step-by-step framework to turn you into a confident crypto investor without the confusion and without the crypto bro jargon. If you want to access that, click the link in the description below. It's completely free and you get access to exclusive content I don't share anywhere else. Back to the topic at hand. So what are the new regulations exactly? Here's what Newton, a Canadian exchange, has to say about it. If you live in an applicable province, net buy limits affect the net amount of crypto you can buy to $30,000. These limits were set annually, and after 12 months have passed, your limit will reset. Luckily, there are 4 unrestricted cryptocurrencies you can buy unlimited amounts of, and that's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin and Ethereum makes sense. I'm not sure why the others have been included, to be honest. But apart from these 4, everything else is considered a restricted cryptocurrency. And any amount you buy of them will count towards your 30K limit. And that is not 30K per each restricted crypto, that is 30K, all of them put together. These limits are calculated based on the amount you paid in Canadian dollars when you either bought or sold. Selling your restricted crypto means you add some room back to your 30K limit, while increases or decreases in the value of those cryptos while you're holding them do not affect that limit. These limits have been put in place by the Ontario Securities Commission, the OSC, and the Canadian Securities Administrators, the CSA. And this means that all crypto trading platforms and exchanges operating legally within Canada have to comply with these regulations. That being said, these limits might not necessarily apply to you specifically. So the 30K limit does apply to you specifically if you live in New Brunswick, Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, Nunavut, Northwest Territories, Ontario, PEI, Saskatchewan, or Yukon. But if you are lucky enough to live in Alberta, BC, Quebec, or Manitoba, then none of these limits actually apply to you. But this still really sucks because these regulations apply to most people in Canada. And one of the shittiest parts is that the limits differ depending on how wealthy you are. So here's how they determine what your limits are based on how much money you have. So Canadian exchanges are now asking you to fill out a survey when you next log in. I had to fill this one out on Newton when I logged in, and they're asking a bunch of pretty probing personal questions. They want to know basically how much money you make, how much you have in investments, and how much you are potentially comfortable losing. And based on the answers that you give them, you may or may not be able to continue to use that exchange to trade in crypto. There are 3 general categories of investor that you could be classified as. First is a retail investor, and this is probably what you're going to be. Retail investors are anyone who isn't eligible or accredited, and if you're a retail investor, the $30,000 crypto limit applies to you. The second category you could be put in is eligible investor. And to be considered an eligible investor, you need to either have assets that exceed $400,000 or have made $75,000 per year over the past 2 years. If you satisfy those conditions of having enough money, then your limits as an eligible investor are $100,000 a year instead of $30,000. The next step up, if you have even more money, is an accredited investor. And you fall into this bucket if you have assets worth over $1 million or you've made $200,000 each year for the past 2 years. And the limits for accredited investors are none. There are no limits. So basically, the wealthier you are in Canada, the more you're allowed to invest in crypto, which honestly isn't that fair. And basically, the vast majority of Canadians are going to fall into the retail investor category, and they're going to have that 30K limit on their crypto purchases. So once again, we have the government setting up the rich to get richer and preventing the rest of us from taking risks and potentially making some huge gains. So why are these regulations so bad? Unfortunately, I think regulations like this are something we're going to have to get used to seeing in the future as governments attempt to regulate crypto and rein it in. Because as crypto adoption grows, it becomes a bigger and bigger threat to the fiat system and the governments behind them. So keep your eyes out for more of this in the future. This is not the last time this is going to happen. And the whole shtick behind putting these regulations out there is that they're there to protect regular people from risky investments. And that does kind of make a little bit of sense. But what doesn't make sense is when you take regulations like that and then you compare them to the rest of the ways you can gamble money in Canada, with casinos, with lottery tickets, horse racing, poker, all of these ways you can gamble, and there are no limits on that. There's no limit to stop somebody from gambling away their life savings on slot machines in a weekend. So there's no limit to that, yet you can't put more than $30,000 into a stable coin like USDC. So this just really makes me question, are they really here to protect us, or is there something more sinister going on? Are they perhaps feeling threatened by crypto in general? To me, it kind of feels like an excuse to take down the competition and protect themselves from emerging forms of money that are not state controlled. And I do realize they do let you have unlimited amounts of Bitcoin and Ethereum, which are, the most likely to succeed as money versus all of the altcoins that they've put limits on, but something just doesn't quite sit right. But luckily, the government's the government, and they're not very good at doing what they do. So there should be simple legal ways to get around these dumb restrictions. So here is how you can trade altcoins using a DEX, a decentralized exchange, instead of using a centralized exchange. So just to give you the rundown on that, if you've never heard of decentralized versus centralized exchanges, is that centralized exchanges are run by a company somewhere versus decentralized exchanges, which are not. They do not involve a centralized group or company that can be, say, prosecuted for not following along with a law. Because of that, these regulations apply to centralized exchanges. So to Newton, ShakePay, BitBuy, Crypto.com, all of these big exchanges, if they want to operate in Canada, they have to abide by these rules, or the state can go after them. But this is much harder to enforce with decentralized exchanges because there's nobody to go after. So if you can figure a workaround to use DeFi, to use a DEX instead of a centralized exchange, then you should be able to more easily buy restricted cryptocurrencies in any amount that you want. So for example, since Ethereum is one of the unrestricted cryptos, you can buy as much as you want, buy a bunch of ETH, and then you want to withdraw that to your own wallet. This could be a hot wallet like a MetaMask wallet, or a hardware wallet like a Ledger or Trezor. Once you've withdrawn your ETH to your own wallet, then you can connect and interact with decentralized exchanges and other DeFi apps. The most popular DeFi exchange would be Uniswap, so you can head on over there, connect your wallet, and then simply swap some ETH for whatever altcoin you want in whatever amounts. And because decentralized exchanges don't see that, they can't really tell you how much you can buy or sell. So this is a bit of an oversight. I'm not sure what the government's understanding is of how crypto actually works. So it's still really easy to buy as much of any crypto you really want using DeFi. But this, on top of the fact that they have added Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash to the list of unrestricted cryptos, just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I'm not sure if this was a well thought out regulation or not. But as of now, that's basically where we stand. Let me know in a comment below, which province are you in, and does this apply to you? Of course, if you need to purchase some crypto for the first time using Canadian dollars, and you're gonna need a centralized exchange for that. And the ones I recommend are Newton and ShakePay. If you sign up with Newton and fund your account, we'll both get $25 added to our account. So that's a great way to get started investing in crypto. But if you wanna keep things a little more simple, ShakePay only has Bitcoin and Ethereum on their platform. And if you sign up with them, you'll get $30 for signing up and funding your account. Check them out, see which one you like, and move forward with that. But that is it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope it was helpful. If it was, I'd appreciate if you leave me a comment, hit the like and subscribe button, and share it with a friend who could also benefit from these videos. Otherwise, if you're ready to continue on down the crypto rabbit hole, make sure you check out one of these videos next. And I will see you guys next time.